Hey, hey. All right. A little technical difficulty there. Sorry about that. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Shout Out Show with me, your host, Preacher Moss. I always say for the people who have not been here before, thank you for stopping through. And for the people who have been here, I am more than happy to have you back. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Now, today is a different show. Yesterday, we actually talked about the philosophical importance of failure. There's a reason why we talked about failure yesterday. And the reason we talked about failure yesterday was it was a setup to today, talking about an actual idiom, which is communication, how we make money. Now, with this being the COVID economy, is what I'm calling it these days, the COVID economy. Um, and I hate to bring it into it, but a lot of us are struggling. A lot of people are struggling in terms of how they make money. A lot of people are worried about where revenue is going to come from. You've lost work, or you're out of work, or things like that. And those are all important things, but this becomes that aspect for the other talk we had about creativity. So I'm going to talk today about communication. So the name of today's show is called, effectively, uh, Talking Money. Talking Money, which means that your words have power, your words have value. So I would like for us to get to the point where we can figure out how we can use some of those words. The first thing I want to talk about is a story. I always give a story up front. Um, and I'm going to tell you the story. I was in sixth grade. Sixth grade elementary school. My teacher's name was Miss Alvita Jones. Now, people, brothers and sisters, I'm going to say that I thought that Miss Alvita Jones was the meanest black lady that God had put on this earth and for my young years in the sixth grade. She didn't smile. She seemed like she never was enjoying life. But for some reason, she chose to be around kids. That was my thinking back then. Well, I was a joker back in the day. I would make jokes back in the day. Let's just call it what it was. And I made a joke. Well, I recited a joke, if you will, and it was about Red Fox. So for many of you that know Red Fox, you know that it wasn't a clean joke. And because I'm still fasting, I don't want to have to give up a whole day for telling a Red Fox joke. But let me give you a summary of it all. I told the joke and it cracked the class up. I mean, they were laughing, they were giggling. As a young man, an aspiring comedian, funny man, I thought it was the best feeling in the world. The problem was people couldn't stop laughing. And the issue was Miss Jones did not like that. She didn't like laughing during her class. So what happened was she basically said, "What are y'all laughing at?" And my brother, Rick Slafford, I love you. But basically, I got snitched out, and everybody pointed to me. And the lady asked me, the teacher, she said, "Well, if the joke is so funny to them, why didn't you tell it to me?" And I said, "Well, you weren't around." See, being smart. And she said, "No, you can tell it to me right now." Now, I'm worried because, of course, it's a Red Fox joke. It has profanity in it. But if I don't tell her the joke, I'm going to get in trouble. And if I do tell her the joke, I'm going to get in trouble. So I told her the joke. She was like, "Okay." I was in deep trouble. But something really important happened while I was serving out detention over those couple of weeks, if you will. Miss Jones said something to me. She said, "Do you think you're funny?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Do you like comedians?" I said, "Yeah." You know, he had Red Fox and everybody. She asked me, she said, "Do you know the difference between a comedian and a clown?" And I said, "Ma'am," she said, "Do you know the difference between a comedian and a clown?" And I said, "No." She said, "Well, until you figure that out, get your education." I will never forget that. And it was interesting because it really led me to really evaluate what she was saying. Those of us that communicate for a living or we try to convey ideas, there's something you need to get out of the way. Here's what you need to know: humble yourself. Don't think that people out there just waiting for you to come talk to them. Don't think that people just sit around and go, man, I sure do wish that person would occupy me with their thoughts. It doesn't happen. Thelonious Monk said the sweetest sound is silence. And that's where we're going to start today. Your communication is sound. Good communication is sound. Bad communication is noise. Good communication is sound. Bad communication is noise. I speak for a living as a comedian, but I'm also a lecturer and I'm a writer. For those who are really, really in the space of saying, I want to be an effective communicator, take these words from me. Find a paper, a pen, and start writing. The best communicators, the people that make the most money, know how to write. So an exercise would be to write down some of your thoughts, some of your most profound thoughts, or some of the thoughts that you think can make you money. Write them down on paper and have somebody read them. And if that person has problems understanding your idea, you're not going to be an effective speaker. You're going to have a difficult time trying to get people to put money behind your ideas because your ideas aren't clear. Most of the communication that you're going to deal with in life has a lot to do with what? Conveying ideas, effectively conveying ideas. What I want you to understand is you want to be in the business of making beautiful sound and not giving people noise. What you see right now, and this is no knock to anybody, there's a lot of people doing social media right now, shows on social media. I'm one of them. Here's the difference. We're doing our stuff, but we're very creative. We go, you know what would be a great idea? Let's do a podcast. And that's because you own you own that initiative, if you will. But watch news. Watch CNN or ABC or CBS or Fox if you really have nothing to do with your life. You can look at that institution and realize nobody just popped up and go, yo, you know what? At Fox, go, hey, let's make a network. You don't make a network. You develop a network. I want you to think of your communications as a network, not a network of people that you talk to, but a network of communication, a network of writing, a network of ideas, and a network of practice spaces. Why is this important? Because whatever you do, whether it's comedy, whether it's lecturing, whether it's business, your language or the intentionality of your words are what people react to. I'm gonna give you a little bit of secret. Hey, assalamu alaikum, Layla. What's going on, big sis? I'm gonna give you guys a secret. I was at a writing workshop for Disney last year, I believe. It was like last year around this time. And I went there, and they give you the spiel about how they're giving you a shot, but they also tell you that if you're not what they're looking for, you've pretty much blown your chance. They'll never look at your stuff again. I'll never read your scripts again. And it's intimidating. Let's just call it. It's very intimidating. But the lady said something that was really, really important, really, really stuck with me. She said, all of you are aspiring writers. Again, we're talking about talking or communicating that gets us paid. Scripts, story ideas, treatments, specs, all this type of stuff. She said something that was amazing. And I want you guys to remember this. She said that it doesn't matter how great you think your idea is, how well written you think it is. When you take it to the marketplace, it has to be in a certain format. It has to be in a certain format. I worked for a casting director, and she would get all these scripts. And she one time told me, save yourself some time. If the scripts come in and they're not fastened the right way, throw them in the trash. Don't even read them. Getting back to this Disney story, this woman said, you have to realize that the format has to be there because you have generations upon generations upon generations of people who have learned to watch television a certain way. They've learned to watch television a certain way. You may be the greatest writer, but in this format, if you're not doing the format, nobody's going to read your stuff. In the communication game, when you're trying to deal with revenue, there's a format. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. Okay? Beginning is your narrative, meaning what are you trying to say up front? Because that has to permeate through everything else that you're trying to do. If you go to a speech, if you go to a speech, speeches start out kind of the same way. They introduce the idea, they sprinkle a little humor in it, they get to the meat of it, they get really serious, they do a callback, and then there's a call to action in a lot of times. It's the same with a lot of cookbooks. In your writing and interpersonal communication, you have to do a little bit of the same thing. But I'm giving you some tips up front. Number one, whatever it is, I always say two rules. It was given to me. If it's sound, write it down. If it's weak, it needs a tweak. I'll say it again. If it's sound, write it down. If it's weak, it needs a tweak. I'm not saying that any idea is bad or any idea is great. I'm just saying everything is capable of improvement. Remember, the quote we said, there are no bad decisions. Well, Thelonious Monk, musician, said there's no bad notes. It's just better decisions. Think of your writing that way. We talked about failure yesterday. One of the things we fail to do often is expand beyond the experience. One of the best examples of this is the musician Prince. I don't know if you like Prince. It doesn't matter if you like his music. Here's the deal. He was a prolific writer. They say when he passed away, he had mounds and mounds and mounds of songs. Now, the songs weren't finished, but the creative process was there. So I want everybody to actually look and invest and think about what your creative process is. Is it going to be writing? Are you going to be speaking to people? How do you effectively get communication out to folks? Because that's how they receive it. And once you know the way you want to do it, you can conform or you can mold or adapt your language to how they learn. This is what the best teachers do. This is what the best speakers do. We love Barack Obama. You know why Barack Obama was a great speaker? I'm going to tell you why. Cadence. He was a patient speaker. Someone asked me, why is Donald Trump an effective speaker? I said, he's not an effective speaker. He's an effective repeater. Literally, in a speech, he'll take an idea, he'll say a word 3 times. It's an old speaker trick, but it's effective. He'll say it 3 times. Why? Because people have short-term memory. And you hopefully, if you say it 3 times, if somebody gets it once, good. If somebody gets it twice, amazing. You've made an impression in their mind. So let's get to this idea of talking money. Words are currency. Words are currency. Don't waste words. Give yourselves an opportunity to just sit back and realize that you're not the best speaker in the world. I do it all the time. Why am I saying this? Because you have to get out of your head that you know everything. You don't know everything. You may have great ideas, but it doesn't matter. What you're looking for is a space and time to take your ideas, to take your words, to take your communication, and take them to the marketplace. Now, here's the deal. You never know what a marketplace is. It could be on a street corner. It could be in an elevator. It could be at a board meeting. You could be pitching a movie. All these skills come to bear. And I'll even be even clearer. This language is important because sometimes you don't know, it may save someone's life. The ability to effectively communicate. I'll give you a story one time, and then we're going to take a break. I was doing a show somewhere out in Nebraska. I think it was Kearney, Nebraska, or something crazy like that. And essentially what happened was, sorry about that. Essentially what happened was I did the show and I felt like I had a good show. I written some new material and it was going well. Let's just call it that. It was going well. I finished the show, and this show was called End of Racism Comedy and Lecture Tour. I finished the show and people came up and they enjoyed the show. Hey, thank you, da 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 da. And as a point that tells you never know who's watching. A woman came up to me and I was like, "Hey, how are you?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm okay." And I'm like, "Is something wrong?" And she said, "Yeah, well, I'm glad I came to the show." I said, "Well, what were you going to do this morning?" The lady actually said, "I was at home thinking about killing myself." And I'm like, "Whoa." And I'm like, "Whoa." I'm like, "Whoa." And she goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Well, of course, we need to get you help or blah, blah, blah." And she said, "No, I'm going to get help." She said, "But there was something you said in the show that spoke to me." Now, here's the beautiful part. Any one of us on this podcast, any one of us around the world can say things, have sound that speak to people. That's the importance of putting and investing time in beautiful sounds as opposed to just making noise. There's some things that you can listen to over and over and over and over and over again. As a Muslim, I can't tell you how many times I've heard the Adhan. I've heard the recitation of Quran. And I mean recitation of Quran, I mean that goes for we took like Taraweeh. I don't even understand what they're saying, but it's so beautiful that it brings a certain peace to me. However, there are words in English that are just pure noise. Like we talk about profanity. Profanity is pure noise. Now, I'm not going to sit and tell you like I'm some special dude. Like I never used it. I mean, my aunt taught me how to cuss. So I'm just going to tell you that right up front. However, for the purposes of learning how to communicate, share ideas, you have to be proficient at giving people beautiful sound. And we're going to take a break. I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about some of the ways that we implement this type of stuff. It's going to be an A, B, C type of deal. So if you have a pen and paper, you might want to pull it out. This is Preacher Monster Shout Out Show. We'll be right back. Why would I do a CD called Confessions of a Muslim Comedian? And that was the idea of bringing entertainment to Muslims, for Muslims, about Muslims, but for everybody. I got Dean in my life. Who is Dean? But you bring me around here. You know how Muslims get you all hyped up? And like, he said, "Brother, you ready to be Muslim?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You know what that means?" I said, "Tell me, brother." He said, "You ready to give up the swine?" I said, "Yes, sir. I'm giving up the swine." He said, "Are you ready to give up the alcohol?" I said, "Yes, sir. I'm ready to give up the alcohol." He said, "You ready to give up the women?" I said, "Yes, sir. I'm ready to give up the alcohol." We're back. We are back. I want to speak to you briefly about the differences between sound and noise. Sound is an investment. Noise, noise is not investment. Noise is an intrusion. Noise bothers. Noise is a sound that bothers you. It disrupts things. So when you're writing, you need to pull off or pull out certain things. What are the things that annoy you? What are the noises that annoy you? Okay. What are things that you don't like? I put down on my list framing a list for good communications. Uh, you have to segment it a little bit. So, number one, I want you to say, listen, I want you to um, write down where you grew up in your household. What were the sounds that you really enjoyed as a child, in your teens, even in your adulthood? What are the sounds that you enjoyed, the nuances, the people who spoke to you? Write those people down, write the names down. Your homework, and we're going to do a part two of this, of course. Your homework is to break down what it was about their sound that made you or that spoke to you. That's one. Now, I want you to choose somebody next, your next assignment. Choose somebody who's not related to you, but you like watching them speak. And I want you to do a case study of how they speak. You see, as I talked about Disney, the whole idea that people have been trained to watch television a certain way. The great speakers and the great comedians, they train their audience. They train the audience. So when the audience comes, they don't have to go through a reevaluation period or a reacclimation period when they see you. They saw you the last time. It's just what do you have now? They don't have questions in their minds. You've made the compelling argument. So that's number two. Number three, and I like this one right here. Who can do both for you? Who can give you the beautiful sound? Who can give you the noise? And I want you to break down both sides of it. When they give you the sound and they give you the noise. Okay? Take all the stuff that I've talked about. And now we're going to give a physical activity to it. I've told you to listen. Or I've asked you to listen. I won't tell you, but I've asked you to listen. Now I'm going to ask you to apply some discipline to it. Go back to the thing I said earlier. Nobody really wants to hear what you have to say. You have to make a compelling argument. People would rather have silence over your voice, which means that when you open your mouth, you need to be able to say something that is compelling and drives a narrative. In business, people get it twisted for my business. They think I'm a comedian. Comedy writing and comedy performing are two different things. I just happen to put them together. You need to be able to do the same thing. Communicating and relating need to go together. Stop making noise, start making sound. Now, here's your assignment. Put yourself in a room with your idea, an idea that will last 5 minutes. Write out a speech that will last 5 minutes. 5 minutes, okay? Repeat that speech 15 times. How many times I say? I said 15. Repeat that speech 15 times. Because that's how much automaticity you're going to need when you speak to people, that it sounds natural, that it sounds confident, that it sounds not well rehearsed, but well researched. Getting people to trust what you say, the words coming out of your mouth, the sound. And I'm telling you to do it 15 times so that you get used to the sound of you speaking valuable words. Now, as you know, we keep a very short show here. We only do 25 minutes. Why do we do 25 minutes? A, because people don't really have long attention spans. And B, you got other things to do. Besides, I get paid to talk, and y'all ain't paying me. However, people can be paying you. In the COVID-19 economy, you're going to have to learn to do things differently. While I may joke and I might laugh, you may be in a situation where you have to re-interview for a job or interview for a new job or go out and do something different, an entrepreneurial pursuit because your job has left you, or you have to come up with additional income, or you have to be able to speak effectively to your family saying, this is a new situation and we need to be able to come together and rally around these 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Clarity is charity, brothers and sisters. So with that, I'm going to ask everybody to please send your shout outs. In fact, I have a special show tomorrow. All the shows are special, but this one I'm loving because it's going to take this thing that we just talked to another level. We're going to talk about one of the greatest musical communicators that ever came down the line, and I'm going to break it down for you here on the Shout Out Show. So if you have any shout outs, please send them out. And my brother Mustafa is here. I love you, Dad, man. Give him my salams. I'm going to go ahead and give some other ones out. Sister Nafisa, thank you for coming. This is my big sis, Layla. Thank you for coming, sis. It's my main man right here, my homie. Look, that seat right there, look, those who elevate themselves, Allah humbles them. Those who humble themselves, Allah lift. That's exactly what I'm talking about, people. The first piece right here is talking about noise, and other people's talking about sound. Hey, this is my main man, right? This guy is an incredible photographer, man. Ridwan, thank you for coming on the show. And I hope everybody comes back tomorrow because I'm going to be talking about one of the greatest singers and musical communicators. And I'm going to be talking about his epic record. I'm talking about Marvin Gaye and his concept album, What's Going On. Literally, it was the first spiritual musical work I was ever introduced to. And I said spiritual, not religious. Spiritual in that he looked at a problem and brought the idea of religion and spirituality into it. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to give this last shout out. Sister Nicole, thank you so much. Mashallah, I appreciate you. Please, everybody keep me in the wise. I know I'm running over a little over, and I apologize. But please remember what I asked you to do. That 5-minute speech or even 2-minute speech. Write it down. If it's sound, if it's weak, make a tweak. Take it, give somewhere, close yourself off in the room, repeat it 15 times till it sounds right to you. Because if you go through 15 times, it's going to sound not even right to a person that's listening to it. It's going to sound compelling. We're talking about taking communication and make it a situation where we're talking money. This is Preacher Moss on the Shout Out Show. God bless you. Take care of yourself. Allah is God. See you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.